Politics and religion of Tudor England. First, we will explore the history of the Parliament and the Privy Council. The Parliament. Modern parliaments could trace their history to the 13th century. The year 1265 witnessed the start of the Parliament. The Parliament, called in 1295, known as the Model Parliament, was widely regarded as the first representative parliament. The Reformation Parliament of 1529 to 1536 in the 16th century is of great significance to the development of the Parliament. Now let's talk about the start of the Parliament. One of the progenitors of modern parliamentary democracy is Simon de Montfort. He led the rebellion against King Henry III of England during the Second Barons' War of 1263 to 1264, and subsequently became the actual ruler of England. In 1265, Montfort called a parliament in an attempt to gather more support. This is generally known as Simon de Montfort's Parliament. It is sometimes referred to as the first English Parliament, and because of its inclusion of both the knights and the burgesses, Montfort himself is often regarded as the founder of the House of Commons. The Model Parliament of 1295 was a representation of Montfort's ideas, formally adopted by Henry's son, Edward I. It included the lower clergy for the first time, as well as 2 knights from each county, 2 burgesses from each borough, and 2 citizens from each city. This composition became the model for later parliaments, hence the name. Now let's enter the 16th century in the Tudor age, which has often been seen as a period of immense significance for the evolution of Parliament. The need for legislation and taxation made the Parliament an indestructible feature of the Tudor state. After King's Council, Parliament was the nation's most important institution. We need to compare the Parliament with King's Council. Like the Council, it reverberated with activity when it was in session. Unlike the Council, which met regularly in each year of a monarch's reign, Parliament was very much an occasional institution, summoned and dissolved at the will of the Crown. Parliament was generally active under the Tudors, and exceptionally active in the reign of Henry VIII for the reason of the English Reformation. The Reformation Parliament was called so because it was the English Parliament, lasting from 1529 to 1536, that passed and enabled the major pieces of legislation leading to the English Reformation. What is special about the Reformation Parliament? First, it existed longer than any previous parliaments. Second, it enacted a series of statutes for the English Reformation. Third, it formally incorporated the Principality of Wales into the Kingdom of England. Next, let's move on to the Privy Council. The Privy Council was the hub of the Tudor political system and the main permanent institution of government. The term Privy Council can be traced back to at least the 14th century, when it was made of up to 100 men and usually ended up with one strongman dominating, such as Wolsey. It was under Henry VIII and due to Thomas Cromwell's reform that it developed into an organized institution of strictly fixed and limited membership. Collective responsibility and cooperative decision-making were the key to the Privy Council structure. Functions of the Council include advising the King, administering the realm, managing national defense, enforcing the Reformation, especially the religious settlement of 1559, enforcing law, and regulating economic affairs. In Sir Geoffrey Elton's words, it was the center of administration, the instrument of policy-making, the arena of political conflict, the ultimate means for dispensing the king's justice. Now it's time to examine another major political and religious event in this period, the English Reformation. The English Reformation is part of the wider process of the European Protestant Reformation, a religious and political movement that affected the practice of Christianity across all of Europe in the 16th century. The English Reformation was closely bound up with Henry VIII's personal affairs. Henry's first wife, Catherine of Aragon, had borne 5 children, but only Princess Mary survived. Catherine was past childbearing age, and Henry was passionately coveting Anne Boleyn, who would not comply without assurance of marriage. As the Pope would not grant an annulment of his first marriage, Henry had to take drastic actions. He urged the English Parliament to enact a series of acts between 1532 and 1534 which broke ties with Rome and declared the king supreme head of the Church of England, thus separating England from papal authority. Once the divorce was achieved, Henry VIII took further steps against the monastic system by reaping its wealth in the dissolution of the monasteries. Between 1536 and 1541, he disbanded over 600 religious houses in England, appropriated their income, and disposed of their assets. It took a few generations for the Protestantism to settle down and cost the lives of many innocent believers of both Protestantism and Roman Catholicism. The theology and the liturgy of the Church of England became markedly Protestant during the reign of Edward VI. Under his Catholic half-sister Mary, the whole process was reversed, and the Church of England was again placed under papal jurisdiction. Soon after, Elizabeth reintroduced the Protestant faith, but in a more moderate manner. By the time Elizabeth's long reign came to an end in 1603, English people had come to esteem their church and come to identify their church and Protestantism as a cornerstone of their identity. So far, the bullet points of today's lecture are: in the history of Parliament, Simon de Montfort's Parliament of 1265, the Model Parliament of 1295, and the Reformation Parliament of 1529 to 1536 are of great significance to its development. Parliament was exceptionally active in the reign of Henry VIII in the form of the Reformation Parliament. The Privy Council was the hub of the Tudor political system and the main permanent institution of government. In the reign of Henry VIII, Thomas Cromwell reformed the Privy Council into an institution of fixed and limited membership. Functions of Privy Council are wide, ranging from advising the king to regulating economic affairs. The English Reformation is part of the wider process of the European Protestant Reformation. The English Reformation was triggered by Henry VIII's determination to divorce Catherine of Aragon. Henry VIII was declared supreme head of the Church of England, thus cutting off from the Catholic Church in Rome. Henry VIII further destroyed the papal authority by the dissolution of monasteries. It took a few generations for the Protestantism to settle down in England from Henry VIII to Elizabeth I. That's all for today. See you next time.